Hey everybody, welcome to Sound of Sanity. You are now listening to the Sound of Sanity. The sound will continue for the duration of this program. And this is our third coronavirus episode this week, Jake.
Yay!
Yay! we love talking coronavirus.
Yeah, it's my favorite topic.
It certainly is the one that we've been talking about, and I think some other people might be interested in it too.
Forcibly interested.
It's not really my favorite topic. I'd rather talk about Disney princesses, but
yay, Disney princesses!
So do all who live to see such times. That is not for them to choose. How many times is that quote going to get bandied about?
Do with the time that's been given you, Nathan.
Well, okay. So speaking of which, Jake, this episode is entitled "Hope and the Coronavirus," or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. But first, we should say, apropos of hope, we are really fiddling on the Titanic that's called Warhorn Media right now.
It's going down.
It's going down.
It's only a matter of time.
This is the dance band on the Titanic. Sing near my God to thee. I don't know if anybody knows that old Harry Chapin song. It's kind of fun. Anyway, yeah, we are. Turns out when times get tough like this, one of the first things people cut is their
charitable, non-essential charitable giving.
Non-essential charitable giving.
Yeah.
Which I think for almost everyone, we fall under that category.
Yeah, we're not your church. We know that. We're not trying to be it. We tell you all the time not to treat us that way, and you are. And that's because times have gotten hard for you. Many of you have lost your jobs, or at least temporarily been put out of work, or you're just scraping trying to take care of your employees if you're a business owner. Make sure you can keep the lights on, all that sort of thing. Make sure you can keep paying your mortgage, your rent, your utilities.
And so Jake is here to tell you, shut off the lights, make your employees work in the dark, cast your children out to fend for themselves, and give money to Warhorn Media, right?
So that we don't have to cast our children out.
or podcast in the dark. No, take care of you and yours and your company. I mean, we understand completely.
Yeah, it's okay, guys. We get it. But if there are people out there listening who have means to help us keep the lights on, we are calling on you. Please help us keep the lights on. Here's the reality of the situation we're facing. We are barely going to be able to make April payroll. And when May comes, we are going to hit about a $3,000 deficit. So for May payroll, we need to make up $3,000. And we have lost a significant amount of income. And it looks like right now we're running at about a $4,500 a month deficit. Like Nathan said, we're going to keep fiddling on the deck.
Until we drown.
and beyond. We'll fiddle in the lifeboats too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll fiddle on that door that Jack had to let go of for some reason. We're not going to let go.
We'll hang on. We'll be the opposite of Jack.
Yeah, we'll be like Rose. We'll never let go.
Yeah, we'll shove Jack off.
Yeah, if that's what we have to do. So goodbye, Jack.
Bye, Jack. So that we can keep fiddling. Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
We intend to stay by God's grace.
But it is Nathan's full-time income. It's half of my family's income. It's part of the income of Jody Killingsworth and Phil Moyer and Joseph Bailey and Alex McNeely, who are all pastors serving either here in Bloomington or in Cincinnati. It's part of how we make it all work. It's not like cream on the top either for us. It's an essential part of all our incomes. So
I might have to fire my pool boy.
You might have to fire your poor Manuel.
Poor Manuel. So if anybody has $3,000 that they're not using,
can at least extend us another month.
Can we talk about, we are putting together, we had actually some fundraising things that we were working on before all this happened.
Yeah.
That you should see hit. Don't have all the details right now, but you should see this hit early next week. We've got an aesthetics series.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to make. And it's just going to be, it's conversations between me and Nathan and various people about aesthetics. And so it'd be aesthetics and music with Jody Killingsworth, aesthetics and literature with Brandon Chastain.
Yeah, you can think of it as like the Warhorn Media Foundation for Aesthetics.
Foundation for Biblical Aesthetics.
So we talk about literature with Brandon, music with Jody, cinema with us. Just kind of talk through those things. It'll be like 3 to 4 hours altogether of conversation. on aesthetics, and we're going to be offering that as some kind of a
incentive to give and help us keep the lights on. So that'll be coming, and anybody that
jumps in
right now, as soon as we get that packaged up and ready to go, it's yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully that we'll have it ready to go next week. We're also doing something that I think is going to be a whole lot of fun and make a whole lot of people happy, if only for a limited time.
Right.
Can I say it? Or
yeah,
do you wanna...
No, please. It only took an international pandemic to bring about.
Finally get you the Chip and Lance Fun Kids Time Show. Dropping daily. It's not going to be long. It'll be like 5 minutes an episode or something like that. 5-10 minutes.
But it'll be Chip and Lance teaching the...
Chip and Lance, guys, I don't know what your exact situation is, but basically Chip and Lance are quarantined together right now. Lance is going a little crazy.
Yeah.
Trying to teach Chip some lessons. Some of those lessons have to do with, why exactly Chip needs to start washing his hands for the first time in his life. Some of those lessons have to do with why Chip should trust God in difficult times. And so we're really excited about it. And we think it's just going to be a blast to flip on with your kids for about 5 to 10 minutes a day. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll be coming as quickly as it can next week. It'll be dropping sometime. We're full steam ahead.
Yeah, we're hoping to Nathan's been working diligently on those scripts all day today, and we're hoping to get those recorded as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, Lord willing, batch some this weekend and be able to start releasing them sometime next week.
I got about, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11. I got 11 ideas on the board over there that I put up.
Yep, and I've been working on filling those out today and coming up with some fun stuff. Chip and Lance, I don't even know what it'll be called, but it'll come out on...
What did I call it? I call it some dumb Disney show or something like that. The Chip and Lance Awesome Fun Kids Time Show or something like that.
Basically, that's basically what that sums it up, whether it's called that or not.
Yeah, that's a little old for a shtick. We're a little more creative than that.
We are a little more creative than that.
Not much more.
Not much more. just a tad. We can go one more degree of somewhere to look for an inspiration. Okay. So here's what I want to talk about today. This episode's called Coronavirus Silver Linings. And that might seem like an interesting title, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
What does hope look like during something like this?
First thing it doesn't look like is living in denial about the realities that we're facing. And so we just told everybody, hey, we're actually legitimately looking at the possible loss of our livelihoods, just like we know lots of listeners are looking at the loss of their livelihoods. My stepmom took a pay cut. My mom lost her job. Lots of other people out there listening.
Which, by the way, can we just say, we've also been just at the most opportune moment decided to start fundraising for
going to plant a church in Evansville.
And that was supposed to be Jake's full-time salary starting in June.
So I had, a month or two ago, I'd said to the budget committee of our church putting together the new budget, which our budget cycle ends in May and starts in June. I said, look, I'll raise support for Evansville. You can take me out of the church budget because the church is facing its own other financial hardships going into all of this stuff. So you can take me out of the church budget. It's on me. I'm going to raise the money. If I can't raise the money, I'll get a job. It'll be okay, whatever. But I'm going to try to raise the money. So this coronavirus stuff hits, and it's like, well, people are holding on. They've lost money. They're losing their jobs. They're holding on to what they have. They're not ready to give to something like this just yet. And I'm not even able to go visit with people and talk to them and pitch the church plant, what we're doing and why they should support it or be a part of it. Like I'm stuck. And Nathan and Meredith were going to come, and Ben and Megan are going to come, and I'm trying to get my house ready to sell, but can I even sell my house? Like, what's that going to look like? How am I going to be able to pull all of this together? I have no idea how any of it's going to work. Everything is up in the air.
So just to be clear, Jake ain't looking at potentially losing half of his livelihood with Warhorn. He's potentially looking at
losing everything.
Yeah,
this could all just go away by June.
So if we need credentials as two guys that want to face the reality, but also talk about hope and God, well, we are both looking to lose everything.
We are both on the cusp of losing our livelihoods. Now, I don't think that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of people have it a lot worse.
A lot of people have it a lot worse.
So far, none of our loved ones have been threatened with sickness or death.
None of our loved ones.
None of our loved ones, yeah.
Yeah, although the realities there are
frightening.
They are frightening.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people love us. I know a lot, and God loves us and is going to take care of us. I'm just waiting to see what he does on the front of providing for our families.
Been in tight places before.
Yeah, and he's always come through. I don't even understand how we've gotten through what we've gotten through. Like, as a family, my wife and I, we lived on $15,000 to $20,000 for like 3 years of pastor's college. I don't even understand how it's possible looking back on it. I don't think, I mean...
that is just God. I don't think, no shame in saying that.
Yeah, it's just God providing for us, always providing for us and making sure we had everything that we needed. And that's always been true. Wife, 7 kids. And you know what? A lot of people have it worse than that. But that's still...
A lot of people have lost their jobs or their livelihoods already. A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah. That's still just like, how does God provide for us on that? I don't know. But he does. And so, okay, now that may be going away. All right. Well, interesting times.
Yeah.
and then the scary reality of, your mom.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma's about to turn 90.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, he's diabetic and he's got respiratory issues from being born premature.
So to bring it all back and close the loop here, having hope doesn't mean denying any of that.
Right.
Nor does it mean having a presumptuous expectation that God will preserve our jobs, that he won't allow the people that we love to die or to get sick or to suffer.
Everything's going to be the way it was, and it's all going to return to normal, and nobody that we love is going to die, and all of our livelihoods are going to be protected and preserved. It doesn't mean any of that.
So that's what hope doesn't mean. What does hope mean?
Okay, look, we came to this studio today. It is backed up right up to a floodplain. And I made a dumb little Instagram video about it, and it was kind of dumb and cheesy.
It was a good Instagram video, Jake.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate your affirmation. So it's floodplain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we get a lot of rain, suddenly there's a lake out of nowhere behind the studio. And, God destroyed the world once in a flood, and he promised never again by water, and he set his bow in the clouds. The fact is, people the world over have been through very difficult times before, but never without God's mercy prevailing in the end. And since the flood, there's never been anything so severe. Plagues have come, they've wiped out a lot of people, they've taken away loved ones, we've had depressions and crashes and famines. Hard times come on every generation, more or less, one way or another. Precious few generations get past that. But in the end, God always cares for his people. He always takes care of them. He always gives them everything they need, even in the midst of death and suffering and pain. When everything else is taken away, he's enough for us. And so, yeah, the job situation, your job situation, it may be gone. It may be collapsing. It may go away. God will be enough for you, and God will take care of you and your children, and you'll find a way.
Well, and I think the point I want to emphasize is a lot of people say, God will be enough for you, but...
Be warmed and filled.
Well, there's that. But I think a lot of people I think what I'm tempted to say is, God will be enough for me, which means in some pie in the sky, by and by sort of a way, I can ultimately look forward to something that looks like joy or contentment or happiness. But what I can't do is ever presume to expect joy in the Lord now.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not God will be enough for me. It's God actually really will be enough for me. And the times that I've suffered the most in my life, I mean, with physical ailments, with spiritual depression, with things like that, are the times where sometimes God's withdrawn his presence, but then he's come and been very close and been very tender. And it actually has been enough. Like it's felt good. I mean, I hear people talk like this sometimes, and I always kind of raise an eyebrow, but it's true. I can testify to this in my life. It's like sometimes you miss the discipline, you miss the suffering when it's gone, because it's like God really was there for me, and he was the only thing I had, and
I felt it.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
Actually. And it's not that it didn't hurt. It's not that it didn't It's not that it wasn't
No,
painful. It's
just
not that
what
you didn't desperately want out of it, but
it's just what Hebrews says. No discipline is pleasant in the moment, but it's the proof of our sonship, right?
yeah, and there's something glorious about that.
Yeah, it's, hey, he cares. He cares enough to discipline us. And in the midst of that suffering, in our very small, pathetic way, we share in the sufferings of our Savior. And the communion with God's always sweeter in those times. And it's not really something to wish for, not the suffering in and of itself.
No, we're
but
not
the nearness
masochists,
with
but-
God is. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And that's okay. And in the meantime, we obey Jesus' words to not worry about tomorrow. It'll worry about itself, to consider the birds of the air and the lilies of the field. Trust he's going to provide for us absolutely everything we need. And he's mindful of all of it, not just our inner spiritual life, but clothes and food. And sure, we may go hungry. We may have to tighten the belt on the budget because, we're not able to get out and work because of this virus. God sees, God knows.
And
He's
God
numbered the
cares.
hairs on our head, and he cares.
Well, I think I didn't have a good relationship with my earthly father. So when God disciplines me, I am so tempted, and I know a lot of people are too, to think discipline is not what this is. This is him breaking me.
Capriciously being a Greek god and
Yeah, just God actually
toying with you.
He's
'cause
toying
he
with
hates you.
me, or he's punishing me because I deserve it even. I mean,
Right.
that'd be the slightly better spin, but still faithless
Yep.
spin on it. God just wants to break me, and actually, I deserve to be broken.
True. You do deserve to be broken. And yet, God is a father who's mindful that we're just but dust. And he's tender and compassionate towards us. He knows our frame. He
Yes.
knows what we are.
And while we
And what
all
we-
experience the pain of God's discipline, we can know that he's not going to discipline us beyond what we can take, what we need, what will be good for us.
And right now, what does that discipline look like? Well, it looks like we spend a little bit more time with our families every day.
Oh, darn.
We're forced to have dinner together as a family every day.
Gotta do those devotions again.
Yeah. No more baseball, no more extracurricular programs at school, no more, we just, us as families, getting to know each other and learning to love each other in ways that, might just end up paying off.
Well, and we are so blessed in America. Like, I mean, honestly, if I can be a little crass for a second, oh, darn. I've not had to do this, folks, but just to give this example, oh, darn, I have to turn on my running water to take a shower because I ran out of toilet paper, Oh, darn, I have to turn a knob that draws water from the earth and cleanses my body.
Yeah.
It's like we can go without a little bit of the massive amount of stuff that we have.
We'll be okay.
Oh,
Previous
darn.
generations have managed to survive.
I got to go to the gas station and get some beef jerky because they didn't have bread at the store. People have made do and been very happy with a lot less.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just my personal... The Bible says it, and that ought to be good enough. And it is good enough. And God writes it on our hearts. But also, it's just my experience, just my anecdotal experience, folks, that God is always so merciful. He is always so merciful in the midst of our suffering, in the midst of our discipline. He is kind, and he reveals himself. And I'm just always shocked by the fact that he doesn't destroy me when these things happen, that I'm constantly surprised by the abundance of good things that he gives me.
Yep.
And that's our God. That's our God. And people have to remember that. We have to remember that right now.
Our Father is the Father that took his Son, the King of Glory, and put him down in a barn and made a star to signal his birth. And I mean, what extravagance. That is the glory of that, the end of that Romans 8 passage. God's given us so much in Jesus. What exactly are you afraid he's going to withhold from you? What can stand up against what he's done? Nothing.
And if you did lose job, wife, husband, parent,
Child,
food, you lose those things and you still have God, he actually is your strength.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because, well, if I play the game right, everything will finally be good later,
Yep.
by and by, but because he is your strength right now if you're one of his children.
Yep.
So we have to...
The Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Shall we not receive good from God's hand and not evil also, ill also?
Mm-hmm.
Also, learn the lesson of Job.
Good book to be reading right now. All right, well, there's our little treatise. There's our little treatise on hope in
Silver linings.
the midst of the coronavirus. Yes, the silver linings. Me and Jake's silver linings playbook from us to you.
Yay!
Yay! All right, shall we tell them what's on the docket? So, assuming I can get Ben and Jake together this weekend.
I think we already told them earlier.
Yeah, but
let's tell them again.
Well, yeah, I want to recap, but then there's some other things I want to say too.
Okay.
So to recap, Chip and Lance show.
Chip and Lance show. Coming soon.
Coming just as quickly down the pike as we can get it. It'll be sometime next week. I hope early.
Yeah.
But those things do, we have to write them and stuff.
Record them
and edit them and music and sound effects. And I have to edit all of Ben's stuff so that it's funny.
Yeah.
That's not true. Ben's a very amusing fellow. So there's that. There's this aesthetics series that's coming out sometime next week, which you'll be able to get for the low price of something somewhere.
Yeah.
And
we'll let you know.
We'll let you know. And
if you figure it out.
If you give right now, we will get it to you, by the way, as we said earlier, because we want you to have it. And we also want you to feel free to give right now if you're someone that God has blessed with the space in their life to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we could use it. And the other thing is next Tuesday, we'll be coming out with our regular Sound of Sanity episode. And that is going to have some quarantine tips.
Yeah.
I wanted to call the episode Quarantunities, but Jake wasn't too excited about that. And I'm very amused even now by the notion of calling it something awful, offending everyone.
I just think it's a bad idea. What can I say?
I just think it's a good idea to do something terrible and stupid that would amuse no one but me. So we'll be coming out with what's the good title for Quarantunities? Maybe Don't Waste the Quarantine. Is that what we decided to call it?
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll have some tips and tricks for things you can kind of ways to think about how to handle the quarantine. I think we might hear from our good friend Erica Rosebloom. I'm sure she's got a positive spin on this whole thing.
She's got something to say. Yeah. Probably some helpful tips for you moms out there.
I'm sure it will be nothing but helpfulness.
Oh yeah.
So
all the helpfulness.
Anyway, we'll be back. Ben will be joining us. Chip and Lance, aesthetics, cool stuff.
Just around the river bend.
Just around the river bend.
Fond of saying.
Yes.
His favorite movie.
Is my favorite movie and my favorite song from my favorite movie. I guess we'll get to talk about that one, Lord willing.
Soon enough, yeah.
The creek don't rise. Okay, so we'll be back, and thanks for joining us. We love you. Until next time.
Stay safe.